I want to talk a little bit about the idea of service. For many people in the universe of meditative practice, the idea of service has a lot to do with showing up, opening to something greater than oneself, and in a certain way embodying the vastness that envelops us and also dwells within us. There is a massive knowing that arises in meditative life, something that spills beyond the borders of the body, spills beyond the confines of the mind, and what one discovers is that one is not here just for the fun of it, that we are connected to something remarkably vast and in some indescribable way purposeful. And so what is that purpose? What is it that is using us? What is it that fills us, that has brought us into being and will at one point extract us from being? What is that unknowable reality that knows us and that we, through meditating and sitting in stillness, discover is the very essence of us? This is a question on some level without an answer, because there is such a bigness to this universe that we inhabit, that we are an expression of, that has a imprint on our being, that it is hard to know moment to moment what our job is. But I can tell you, it has something to do with showing up, being present, and in a place of what you might call acknowledgement, that this greater force inhabits us, in some ways created us, and is with us, and has no limitation. What do we do with that knowledge? Well, first of all, it's to discover it for what it is, to discover its reality in us. Most people that I know are clueless. They have no sense of what this world is, how endless and infinite the journey that we are on is, how it is far beyond the birth and death of our little story of who we are. And yet, people live with an extraordinary sense of importance, mission, if you will, whatever your mission is. And it's interesting because people have so many different missions. Make a lot of money, make a name for myself, have what I want, get the things I desire. All of these fundamentally ego-driven needs that we're trying to fulfill. And they all have to do with this constant sense of me and I. And I have to say, I think that's how we're programmed to be. The satisfying of me and I is somehow making the universe, let's use the word content. It wants us to be in exploration of our needs and desires, in fulfillment of our quote-unquote happiness. We are moved into this world for that purpose. And yet, most of us tend to feel pre-meditative life, unsatisfied, unfulfilled. Happinesses last as long as an ice cream cone, or a sexual orgasm, or whatever it is that comes in. You have a little glow afterward of, that was worth it, I want it again and again. And yet, that's how we live, endlessly seeking for the happiness that life offers. The spiritual awareness that grows inside people who have discovered stillness, who have discovered that they are not the be-all and end-all of human existence, that we are something so beyond our individual calling. People who discover that have this remarkable sense of gratitude, wonder, mystery, immersion in totality, in the absolute. And it's possible, it's very possible to live in a constant connection with what is, with the truth of one's being. There are those people in spiritual worlds who withdraw from the world to experience that, who find their way into a place where they are no longer disturbed by the outer universe, because this inner glow of being is so remarkable and total that doing seems superfluous. And I cannot object to that. If one is drawn into that state of constant, permanent, indelible contemplation of the what is, I totally understand how in a way it can make you immobile. It's so big, so overwhelming. On the other hand, one of the things that have intrigued me so much about my experience in Rudy's teaching is that the what is includes all of this. That yes, you can be overwhelmed by the magnitude of presence, of the dynamic of the universal in the specific. That the vastness of being is mirrored down into the tiniest fragment and molecule of manifested life. But to live the outer and the inner simultaneously, to be available to the wonder of being, not just in your own private sanctuary, but in the sanctuary of the world itself, seems to me to be worthy. And thus I get back to the word service. Because if you begin to experience the world as self, if you begin to experience the cosmos, the totality of the universe in all of its vastness, somehow microscoping itself down into the tiny little molecules of human being, it's still there. It still has importance. It's still valuable in the little tiny world that we inhabit. So even though you're aware of how great and big and wondrous it is This is a finite expression of the infinite and needs to be attended to. And so the question is, how do we attend? I've tried to explain this idea that the journey of human life is from me to you, from I to thou. Really to go from total preoccupation with yourself to an investment in and a care and a compassion for others or an other, and then perhaps to the thou from which all of this evolves. This relationship is a relationship. It's not a one-way street of give me, give me, give me. It is how can I serve this magnitude of possibility. And I think beginning with concern for other, you will begin to experience love for others, care for others, compassion for others, and a desire to help others. This is service. How can I serve other human beings other than just the ones who are going to serve me back? How can I serve something that is not completely selfish, that has to do with selflessness? You know, all the great stories in the world are about people who have moved beyond their own individual, unique self-absorption. Love stories do that. Stories of sacrifice do that. How do I give myself to something greater than me and make me, if you will, the last and the least of it all? How do you do that? It's the journey into understanding and knowing that others are equal to you, that others are you, and that serving others is serving you, not as the egocentric person you might be, but the you that is an expression of totality. There's work to be done. It always starts at the core. The core of the mandala is what's in front of you. In other words, don't not take care of the person closest to you or the people closest to you. Start at the center and then work out. If your spouse, your best friend, your lover, your parent is not being addressed by you, loved by you, cared for by you, attended by you, you cannot branch out to other. If you are not taking care of the core, real, demanding thing in your life, you are missing the point. Your first primary obligation once you get past considering yourself is considering the people closest to you and serving them in every way possible. And then when those connections are alive and working and attended to, you can branch out and help others. And it's not always easy to know. What do you do? How do you help others? You can go volunteer to do things, but often, sealing envelopes or, stamping envelopes or whatever it may be, or soup kitchen lines, sometimes that will feel like satisfying, but, what exactly are we called upon to do? And I've always had a problem knowing what that is. What more can I do? And so I've kind of made it about, I teach a class in meditation. And I have students here and there and elsewhere, and I attend to them. I fly across country to express all this teaching, thinking that it has value. And I truly believe it has value, and I'm grateful to be doing it. And I make myself available through this teaching. I put it on, as you know, these recordings so that other people should they ever want to listen, can listen to them. And it feels like service. It feels like it's enough on some level. It takes a lot of my life. Taking care of my grandchildren takes a lot of my life. Helping my children, helping my wife, helping the people who are around me. But the last 6 weeks, particularly, but certainly in the last 2 years, there's something greater dawning on me, that the world itself needs me. Not just my family, which is well cared for, not just you guys, who I think are well cared for. Something else is calling. And I honestly haven't known what to do or how to address it exactly. And about 6 weeks ago, I gave a class because I had heard about these, children being separated from their parents at the border, and this zero tolerance policy that goes on in the administration that's currently, in charge of this country. And I just went, okay, something happened here that crossed a line that I could not handle. My emotional life got really disturbed. And usually I'm very good about my emotional life. I'm very good about my spiritual life. I can hold it all in a very calm, centered place. But it got disturbed. And I talked about it in my class. I said, I don't know what to do, but I feel I need to do something. And interestingly enough, people started raising their hands about people they knew who were also concerned about these issues and were connected to people like in the ACLU who were dealing with these issues. And I began to really understand that I am a filmmaker, or have been a filmmaker, and I can tell stories. And so I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to make a movie. And I figured I don't have time to make an hour and a half Hollywood movie or a 2-hour movie, because by the time that gets out, God knows where the world will be. I have to do something immediately. And I said to the universe, I am here, use me, take me. I want to be of service. The minute that announcement went out, the universe came back to me from everybody around me. Everybody. It has been such an extraordinary, remarkable experience. The amount of outpouring of kindness and offers of help and offers of real effort that allowed other people to express their forms of service. And I will say, first and foremost among them, a woman who's worked for me now for 2 years and changed my life in many ways, Anne Cameron, has jumped in and taken on the role of the producer of this film in a way that I never imagined anybody could be that good a producer who's never produced, let alone even those who have produced. But this has been an extraordinary experience to see somebody who wants to be of service being given an opportunity to serve and rising to the occasion. I have decided to do this in the way that allows the things that are in front of me to unfold. And so I said to my housekeeper, I'm making a movie about a mother and a son who are separated at the border. Would you like to be in it? She said, yes. And then it turns out she belongs to a church, and her uncle's the pastor, and the whole church is available for us to film in, and the congregation can be the extras for the film. And people in this class sitting here right now have volunteered to be actors in the film. And a dear friend from Los Angeles, who's the head of one of the heads of the directing program at AFI, is going to come in and direct. I asked one of the editor of the film, Ghost, if he could edit the film. He was unavailable. Walter Murch, one of the greatest editors in the world, but he said, I have another friend, Robert Dalva, who's in town right next to yours, who edited Jurassic Park 3 and all these movies. And I called him, and he said, yeah, I would love to do this. Everybody jumped on board. And it was like, oh my God. And this whole thing is coming together, and we're shooting it next weekend. It may turn out to be a total disaster. I have no idea how this thing is actually going to work. We have to have a film in which a little boy and his mother are separated, and the little boy at the end is crying for his mother. If he doesn't cry, I don't have a movie. I was going to try to schedule that as the first shot and have 5 kids, and whoever cried got the part. But it turned out I can't get the church for the first day. I can't get the place that's going to be our Border Patrol space. So I can't do it that way. So we decided to look for actors who could play the little boy. And my housekeeper has a nephew, and he came over yesterday with his mother. And he was the cutest person ever, but he doesn't talk, and he's barely 3. But he's the cutest kid I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, there's no way you're going to direct him. There's nothing I can do, but he was wonderful. So I said, okay, here you are. We're going to get actors coming in. We had actors come in from Sacramento, from all these places, these little kid actors. They were so adorable, but they were horrible actors. I want to see you cry. Like that. And I said, oh my God, if that's on film, we're going to have no movie at all. And smile. And then it was, they were sweet, wonderful children. And they might be able at some point to act, but not in my movie probably. And I decided, well, I have to go with the truly untested 3-year-old. And the whole thing hinges on this performance. I was instructed that maybe it would be good to have an actress instead of my housekeeper in the central role. I didn't want to upset her, but she was like, whatever needs to be done. And so we've interviewed actresses and found wonderful actresses, and we'll pick one. And this thing is all starting to come together. And next weekend, over 3 days, there will be a movie. This movie will either be extraordinarily heartbreaking. It's only going to be 30 seconds to a minute. It will either be something that goes out online. The people at the ACLU have spoken with me, and they are very excited about this movie if it works, because they could put it online and give it to a larger community. It's possible we could later raise money and put it into the election cycle and actually help people be motivated to go out and vote. In fact, the very last line, when you see this mother and child separated and the tears, is just vote. I'm not trying to persuade anybody what to vote for. ACLU said, don't make a red or blue film, just make a film. I want to make a film that bypasses the brain because people think too much. I wanted to go into the heart and maybe even to what I would call the viscera. So you don't have to just feel it, you know it. You just know this is something I need to do. And I want to get people to express themselves. And Ann and I have been talking about this idea that we're going to shoot this film with this very iPhone that's shooting me now. Because I believe anybody who has an iPhone and wants to say something can. We may create a company, I don't know, this is all getting out of my control, but a company that says if you see something, say something. Or if you see something, do something. And if you have an iPhone, you can say something and you can do something. This is a really strong feeling. I've never had this strong a feeling before. I feel the universe coming through in such a rich way and saying, do this. And it's one of the great Buddhist teachings. It's not about the goal, it's about the experience of doing, the effort. Right action, right action. Do the right thing, forget what happens. If nothing else comes of this, if I come to you in 2 weeks and tell you it didn't work, it will not be the worst thing in the world. What will be amazing will be we tried. We actually got together and brought all these people together who said, we care about this thing. And we did something other than just send a check to someone, which is still fine. But there's something you can do more than that. We can all do more. And I'm really having the feeling that something is going on in the world around us that is going to demand more of our attention, more of our effort, and, if you will, more of our service. Do what you can do to serve what you believe or feel or acknowledge internally is the right thing. This is not for you. It's not so you get back. The most you will get back is that you were of service. Trust me, that is more than enough. If you're trying to get back something that says, look what I did, or the world acknowledgement, or any of those things, that probably will not happen and is not the goal. The goal is do the right thing, serve, and if there's ever a time in the life of my generation and yours, this is a time where service will be meaningful. Because we need to feel and experience the world around us and speak to what we believe, even if what you believe is completely different from what I believe. I don't care, really. I care that we engage this dialogue with ourself, that we are a country right now of enormous polarities, a world of enormous polarities that seems to be spinning out of some kind of control, and yet we all have voices in it that are bigger than we ever have had in the history of the human race. Everybody has a voice. Everybody can be heard. Not exactly, because some people go viral and some people don't go viral. Some people get the attention of others, some people don't. You don't know what you're going to get, but put it out there. Say something to someone. Engage someone. Demonstrate your caring, your compassion, your love, your concern, your desire to help. If you want to sit quietly in a cave and just emanate good thoughts, or just bask in the vastness of cosmic being, I have no problem with that. I can only imagine the universe benefits from it. If you want to go out there and just, toot your own horn and make a lot of money and get famous and get laid, or whatever the things are you're trying to do, okay, go for it. But if you have been touched by the universe, by God, by higher consciousness, by the vastness of the absolute that is so beyond us, and if it floods into you and says, do this, pay attention, do it, and then watch what unfolds. I have never been more thrilled by the experience of this direction moving through me and moving me. Watching people like Anne surge into this extraordinary capacity. The people who have other things to do and maybe better, offering their time and their energy. And we've told everybody, no one's getting paid for this. No one's in this to get money, although suddenly I realized I had to create a corporation, an LLC, I had to get insurance, so it's costing me money. But in the end, it won't cost anybody else money, I hope, and we will all be in this together, and we will come away from it feeling we did something, and then we'll see. They may not let us off the hook. One thing may not be enough, but I'm not going to go that far down the road. I'm going to go as far as next weekend, and I'm working toward that, and I'm sharing it with you because I just want it understood that the opportunity to serve is endless and available, and you can serve in whatever ways you best can provide others with help. Whatever that may be, you can think about it, or you can open your heart to the universe and say, show me, guide me. But here's the tricky part. Don't say no. Don't say, well, not that one. Yeah, I mean, I could do, that's not that. That is not how it works. It works in one way, and that is do what you are told. Do what you are shown. Do the thing that your heart erupts into connection to. Go for it. And if your heart isn't erupting, tell them, feed me, give me, show me, help me, do what I need to do. You will expand into a vessel for something greater. You will become a channel for service of higher consciousness, God consciousness, love and compassion. It will filter through you into the world, and it will cleanse you of all of your impurities and all of your drama and all of your self-absorption. It will open you. It will open you to possibilities that are enormous. That's your gift. But the gift that flows through you is greater, and you will be able to touch, help, offer kindness and compassion to another person or to many other people, and that will fill you with grace and goodness and joy, and it will make your life full. So think of the word service, think of the potential that you have to offer it, open to it, and then take the first step. Any questions? Okay. I always think a lot of people go to the church and they love going to church every Sunday, but when the pastor or the rabbi at the synagogue says service, the pews and the seats empty out. You know, people they just want to feel good. Let me tell you, if you want to empty out, it's fine with me. But if you really want to get on board in any way you want to, please do. And if we work this thing out, where we actually can create a company of sorts that will help be a platform for people who do this kind of work, that would be really exciting. And if you want more information, I should just say, you can just go to, it's called immigrantfilm.org. Immigrantfilm.org. And it will fill you in on what we're doing and where we're headed. Okay, I'm going to stop. Thank you, guys.